Hello everybody, I'm Lynn Scanella and welcome to my podcast, Fruitful Conversations, where we talk to people who share their stories, who can teach and inspire us to be better versions of ourselves. Now, I'm not sure how to start with today's guest. Julie Cross is an award-winning conference speaker, but that's not really how she defines herself. Julie was already good at speaking on leadership, teams, connecting, self-esteem, but she really took her speaking next level through her own devastating life experiences. Now, when he was 42, her husband Flash woke up one day and he couldn't walk and he couldn't talk. He'd had a stroke during the night. And there began an unimaginable 4 years, which finished when Flash lost his battle for life, leaving Julie to bring up two small boys, one of whom lives with autism. Now, as we spoke, I couldn't help but be captivated by Julie's positive energy, her wisdom, and her unyielding attitude of gratitude. Enjoy the gift that is Julie Cross. Hello, Julie Cross, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Lynn. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, lovely. I'm so delighted and so looking forward to this, and seeing you in all your sparkles is a nice reminder of everything that you do. But I want to start with this. 5 years ago, you put up a post on Facebook of you in a bikini at 47. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 47. Put up a post of yourself in a bikini with a little spiel, and in 24 hours, you woke up, and there were, correct me if I'm wrong, 120,000 likes and 80,000 comments.
Yeah, it was.
How did that happen?
Well, it wasn't for my body, Lynn.
Oh, come on.
Saying, but what came about, because as you know, in my profession as an inspirational entertainer, professional speaker, one of the core messages that I have that's a foundation of everything I talk about is that relationship that we have with ourselves. Yeah. So, because I truly believe the relationship we have with ourselves will affect every other relationship in our lives, the conversations we have with ourselves about ourselves. Yep. And that affects leadership, it affects your ability to serve, it affects your ability to parent, it affects everything. So I'm very passionate about that. And so, there was this particular day where I wore my bikini to the beach, and a couple of young girls made this comment about me in my bikini on the beach, and it wasn't particularly a positive comment about my body. Now, and I had to work through that moment, because initially, we all feel a little judged then, but I'm not angry at them, because if they're judging me, they're being taught to do that by society. And if they're judging me, they're judging themselves. And so that's a problem already. But, yes. So it hurt my feelings a little bit, and I kind of walked away and sort of, I love my legs, I love my legs, I love my legs. What a lie.
Julie, what did they say? What did they say? People will want to know.
They just were saying that I'm not sure if she should be wearing a bikini, and or something about the dimples cellulite plus or something like that. But so yeah, one of those moments. But it's okay, because I kind of went through those emotions that I went through, and then got home and went to do the Sunday shopping, for school next week. And I just sort of glanced at all of the women's magazines, the magazines directed at women. And again, on the front of every one of them, who's on a diet, who's not on a diet, who has surgery, who hasn't. And I just started thinking, what are we doing? We're a first world country. We have so much opportunity, and we still have so much to work on in society with domestic violence and all these other issues, and yet we're still so consumed by body image.
From such an early age.
Oh, from such an early age. And we're just not getting better at it, I don't think. No. And so I thought, we've got bigger things to worry about than the dimples on my damn thighs. And so I thought, what could I do for my audience, my social media audience, my tribe, to inspire them around this message? So, yes, I coerced my teenage son to take a photo of me in my bikini by the pool. He was
nice. Yeah.
and then, yes, I put it on Facebook, so he was really wrapped. But, of course, it was the message that went with it, Who do I apologise to for the stretch marks on my stomach from carrying two 9-pound healthy baby boys? Yeah. I should apologise to nobody for that. Who should I apologise to for the dimples on my thigh that you thought were cute when I was 2? They're my dimples, and I'll have to own them, because this is a strong, healthy body leading me through a great life, So, and haven't we got bigger things to worry about? So it was really, I guess, that message. And I just posted it on a Sunday afternoon, and my girlfriend started kind of texting me going, have you seen what's happening with your post? And to be honest with you, Lynn, I didn't just hid under the covers.
Yeah.
Because that next morning when it had 120,000 likes, the phone started ringing. Radio stations, by the end of that week, 240,000 likes, 45 points of contact with the media worldwide. You know, there was
Oh my
Sunrise
God.
Morning TV, there was New Idea magazines, there were online
Wow.
magazines all over the world, radio stations all over Australia, which blew my mind, because you know, it made me kind of sad, because if I knew it was going to go viral, I would have wore a sparkle bikini instead of that $20 Kmart black bikini. But also because it would be indicative that post would get so much traction. It's indicative of the deep emotional wound we still have around body image, and especially with women, you know. So, and as I said, I just don't think we're getting all that much better at it, which makes me sad too.
We're not, Julie. We're seeing it, you know, we see it everywhere from a really early age, but, you know, women of my age, it's still going on. I'm meant to look like Jane Fonda. You know, there's the pressure.
Aging. We're trying to cure it and endure it rather than embrace it. You know, and what subliminal message every time we go and get something done to our face and have it altered and try to look younger, what subliminal subconscious message are we giving to our young girls?
You know, I wonder that. Yeah, because I don't have I don't have daughters. I only have sons. But I often think about the message that we give to our daughters, how important it is as a role model. Because women, look, we get up, we look in the mirror, and we go, "There's a wrinkle. I'm fatter. There's a pimple. You know, what am I going to do?" A guy gets up every day, looks in the mirror, and goes, "Yeah, baby." You know, so
that's exactly right. No,
we're so hard on ourselves.
And that is because of that external marketing, you know, that message out there. But, you know, this is the thing again, Lynn, I just think, because people go, well, there shouldn't be airbrushing. And we've got to understand that there will be no image you see anymore on any platform that is real, not printed, not on a billboard, not on a social media platform. We now have filters for everything. I mean, I can get an app on my phone, makes my face, you know, look like all shiny like this. I can get an app on my phone and cut in a thigh gap. We just cut that baby right in. You know, any wonder we get to the mirror and we look in the mirror and go, what the fuck is that? You know, it doesn't look real anymore, but this is real. You know, faces were meant to move, and that's how we express our emotions, and you know, and now we're just ironing all that out. You know, ironing all our personality out of our faces, and so, you know, we've really got to be honest with ourselves. And you know, I was actually going to reflect on this today ahead of this conversation, because I was having this conversation with a young person the other day who is getting lots of stuff done, and she said, well, we love to pull out this line. Well, as long as it makes me happy, that's already matters. But no, my point is, why aren't you already happy?
Yeah.
You know, because you know, what are you going to need next time to have done to make you happy for a while again? You know, we have to find the happiness in the acceptance of who we are. That doesn't mean we don't, you know, loving yourself doesn't mean that you don't look after yourself, that you don't present the best of yourself. In fact, you would. When I loved myself enough, I would look after my body. I would exercise, I would eat good foods, I would make sure I dressed myself beautifully and respectfully, and of course I would present myself to the world. But there's got to be a line where we're moving over into another space where we're searching for something external to keep filling ourselves up internally. And that's the problem, you know, that's a never-ending hole that you won't fill with surgery, with clothes, with new shoes, you know, with so
you only ever fill it from within, but that often comes with wisdom and age, Julie, and you don't know that when you're younger. You know, when we were 18 and 20, there was no Botox.
And we did look, I coloured my hair, but I started colouring my hair because I'm a hairdresser and I coloured it for fun. Now, if I'm honest, I'm, you know, probably colouring it because, you know, I have got this thing happening with all these white hairs.
I can be very honest with you. I colour my hair because I am grey. But why? And I often question myself on it because, you know, in the speaking industry, you're on stage, so you're very visible. And I often think, why can't I just let it go? because I don't want to look as old as I am. And there you go, straight up.
And that's right. And so we all reflect on
We're
that.
doing it.
That great reflection that we have, and that, and so we won't stop the airbrushing and all of that, Lynn. But I truly believe we were meant to grow through it, so that, that we empower up, we mentally muscle up, and remember that when we go to that mirror and we look, you know, we've got to start looking into ourselves instead of looking at ourselves. I think that marketing teaches you to look at yourself and then make a judgment. And one of the things I talk about is, when was the last time you really went to the mirror and looked into your eyes? Yeah. And actually, a lot of people find that really uncomfortable. Look deep into yourself and see that little baby within, that dear, gorgeous little baby that was born into this world, so perfect and beautiful, that we looked at and we saw miracles, we saw unlimited potential, we saw perfection. You don't look at a newborn baby and go, well, look at you, you're a mess. With those eyes, kiddo, I'm telling you, you're in trouble. Like, you know, you think about how bizarre it is that we look at a little chubby baby with their little rolls and we go, oh, she's Judy. I can't remember the last time anyone said that to me about my thighs. I'm just saying.
Just have a little pinch. Oh, come on.
Yeah,
surely.
That's right. You know, so what is it that when we grow up, we withdraw all of that looking in awe at each other and then making judgments, you know?
We grow up. We grow up and we're exposed to everything that society expects us to be. You know, in my fruit speak, you're rocking the mango. You're, you know, yes, you are. You are a natural storyteller. You're vibrant. You're energetic. You're extroverted, and you're optimistic. But not everyone's like that. So for those listeners for whom this doesn't come naturally, Julie, how do they, in your speak, power up around body image and how they feel about themselves? Okay,
and I thank you for that, but I've got to say too that I've got to work at it too. And I've just hit this menopause stage.
Nice, welcome.
Oh, and I have to tell you, you really got to muscle up through menopause, because it's certainly, I have discovered, and in my conversations with some other people discovered they went through this too, that it has really challenged my relationship with myself when I have felt my body felt like I'd almost aged overnight, that it kind of started dropping everywhere and weight started coming on, and and then I just felt like suddenly my face is looking different, and so I'm not saying that I don't have to work at it. I do, because I hear myself getting angry at my body or getting down on myself, and then I have to grab that thinking, and that is just what we all have to do, you know. And I encourage people to put a baby photo on the mirror, you know, and if you were talking to yourself negatively, how would you talk to that little baby? You have a little look at that miracle, because that miracle is still you just grew up is all. You just grew up. So be kind to yourself. And so we've just got to grab that thinking. And so I've had to really work at that too. When I look at my legs some mornings in the mirror while the sun's coming through at that angle, you know, and I sit and I'm like, oh, and I go, no, I love my legs. I love my legs. I love my legs. You know, be grateful, Julie, you have got legs. They are strong legs. They carry you through a big life. You know, literally going back to that, you know, how would you feel if you know, and it sounds corny, but that's it. You go back to being grateful that you've got them, that they're strong. You know, I hear about people that are in constant chronic pain and things like that. And I think, oh gosh, you know, I want to drop to my knees in gratitude that my body is as strong as it is. And so I think it is getting back to the basics of being grateful for the body you've got. Just start with gratitude if you can't get to love. Start there.
Start with gratitude.
Grateful. Yes, and then work your way up.
Yeah, I think self-talk is a really powerful thing. You know, I met you 1,000 years ago when we did a TAFE course to become accredited trainers. It seems like eons ago. And you were full of energy and sparkle. So, you know, none of that's changed. And all you wanted to do was be a big speaker on the big stage, which absolutely terrified me. And here you are today, one of Australia's most successful and sought after speakers. So how did that happen? How did you make that happen?
You know, I was reflecting on that journey too this morning. I've just got a big rush of goosebumps in leading up to talking to you, and I was reflecting on that, of that class we were in together all that time ago, and Karen Schmidt as well, you know, being a teacher, and you know, Art Connection's amazing thing. So, I did have that big dream, and of doing that, and I was more in a training role then when I met you, and working mostly with hairdressers, and I knew I wanted to kind of do the big kind of keynote speaking, and really where I wanted to head, and so it really was. Yeah, but then of course my life took me on this journey that I wasn't prepared for, with my husband having a stroke and my son being diagnosed with autism, and then my husband passing away. So it was kind of like any big work goals I had then really were the dreams that were kind of shelved in this little part of my head.
Yes.
And I just, because I had so much at home to deal with, but there ended up being gifts in that, Lynn. And so I had to let go. So I wasn't holding on to my dream. And I think some people hang on to what they want too tightly almost. And they don't give room for the universe to do its magic and take you on a bit of a journey. And so I had to sort of let it flow more than fight.
Sure. But Julie, you said it in one sentence. I couldn't do that because I was a bit busy at the time. My husband had a stroke, then he died, and my son was diagnosed with autism. That's the beginning of a very big trough right there. That all happened at this. So when that happened, was it 2008 or so, something like that?
Yeah. So it was 11 years ago last year since I lost him, and so it was 4 years before that he had his stroke. So,
how old was your husband when he had his stroke?
He was 42. He was a young man, and every year I live another year and I reflect back because I feel so young still, and I am, and then I think how really young my husband was when he passed away, and how much life he I'm getting a teary now, but never got to live, and that's that thing too where we've got to. But that's given me the greatest gift, and I believe I live the depth and breadth and the width of the moments in life because of what I've been through, so I don't live any moment of my life unlived to the maximum because life is so precious.
And not everyone has that absolute wake-up call that you did. If you needed a wake-up call at all, you now have one that you must live every moment. But to have a stroke at 42, and describe your world at that time. I can't imagine what it was like.
Because it was, my world was in such a sweet spot, because, my husband was that guy that said to me with this business, he said, Julie, follow your dreams. I've got your back. If it doesn't work, we'll be all right. What a gift,
yes,
to give somebody.
Absolutely.
So what a wonderful gift. And these two beautiful boys who were 8 and 4 at the time. And at this stage, we knew that Thomas had a delay in his language, but otherwise he was a healthy, strong, normal little boy as far as we knew. So, life was in a sweet spot. Now, my husband had been diagnosed with arrhythmia, an uneven heartbeat. There was some work that needed done on his heart. So, but he'd gone into hospital, had that done, was out of hospital. So once again, it just felt like that we had great friends around us. It was, we were living a good life. But I'd also, in reflection, become complacent, as we often do, and probably wasn't in deep gratitude for all that was so great, as we often aren't in those moments. But then it was a total shock. We just literally went to bed one night and woke up in the morning and Flash, what's his nickname, Flash, he couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't move his arm, and he'd had a stroke. And so we just fell, and that was in November. It was the 16th of November, and we just fell. And this is what happens with tragedy, of course, for anybody, is you just get caught in a negative spiral. You just go from to devastation, and you can't get out of it initially. Obviously, it's too big a leap to go from devastation to wake up, go, I feel great, my sparkle is alive. We've got it.
Yes.
Because, you're at devastation, and this is the big stuff now, and that's why you don't let the little stuff get you, because the big stuff will do a job all on its own. And so, what I really, and then, you don't know how are we supposed to do this? And it felt like that things got worse before they get better, and they often do, because like energy attracts like energy. It does it in the positive, and it does it in the negative. And so things just seem to go from bad to worse. Thomas split his head open. My husband's in hospital. My other kid got a vomiting wog. He's in another hospital. It just went on and on and on. And I'm like, how do I make this stop? And, and so what I learned is, and then all the doctor's appointments, no doctor could tell me when, my husband would be better, but they don't know with a stroke. We don't know when better is. We don't know what it looks like. So if there's no date, now this is a huge lesson for all of us. If there's no date that he's going to be better, when do I get to be happy again? you get to be happy again when you make a decision to, when you
Yes.
start to own your life and say, this is my life and this is how it is right now. So I can remain in victim mode, I can remain devastated, but that doesn't, I don't want a life like that. So what if I grabbed my thinking and just lifted it to gratitude, he's still alive? Instantly, that's a better feeling place. What
Yes,
if I
it is.
grabbed my thinking and just focused on hope because he's showing progress with his therapy? That's a better feeling place. And really, Lynn, with this COVID, we got put into the same place in that we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know what better looks like. We don't quite know the journey. So we have to make the best of it in where we are right now, because this is our life right now. And so, yeah, and it was messy, and then Thomas got diagnosed with autism, and then I had stroke in therapy, autism in therapy, stroke trying to talk to autism trying to talk to stroke therapy. And so in amongst all of this, I've become the major income earner, and, when we have to go on stage, my sparkle is alive.
Yeah.
So it was just a mess. And then, of course,
Yes.
4 years of mess, and then my husband passed away and it got a bigger mess. And but that's why with my work, I just did what I had to do. But, because I think I had let it go and surrendered to it, had to just be whatever it was. I came from a very authentic place, because there was no being over prepared. There was no being super, I've just got to get it right before I hop on stage, and I have to be so professional and make sure all my things are sorted. I just had to go there, and sometimes I'd get on a plane and think, where am I going again? What am I doing? And that would be my prep time,
Wow.
But I would nail it because I was being authentically me, and people were hearing from my heart.
Yeah, you
Because
can't beat it.
Yeah.
You can't beat it, Julie. Authenticity is sometimes a really overused word. You are one of the most real, authentic people and speakers I have ever met. You dance on Facebook on a Friday in your kitchen.
I do.
Drug boots, you're the same person on stage as you are off stage. Why do you think it is that so many of us try to be something that we're not, instead of being our authentic selves?
This is probably a question I get asked so much, and I don't really feel like yet I've got a succinct answer, because when people say you're so authentic, I kind of feel like, well, how
else can you be?
How else do you be? Because how do I be anybody else? And this is some of the things I challenge in businesses when I speak to them, and individuals, and even in our industry. I don't go to an event to try to be the best speaker on the program. How dare I even think I could do that? I just only go there to be the best version of me that I can be. And some people will resonate with that, and some people will resonate with someone else, because I don't have any competition, because there's no one else like me, and I can't do a better version of Lynn. So I'll let Lynn do Lynn, and I'll do me. So that's kind of how my thinking. But because I think, and I think that some people think they're worried about what everyone else is thinking, and they think they have to be professional. And I challenge people in this world, professional.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to be so professional. I'm a professional speaker, or I give such professional service. Well, what does professional really even look like or mean? And so people, they put a camera up to them for a video, and then suddenly they start talking differently. And I'm looking at them, what are you doing?
That's right. That's right. You know what I've really enjoyed about COVID is having to do things like this via Zoom. But what we're doing is we're getting it's like the corporate armor has come off, and we're seeing people in their homes, wearing their stuff, like you just do the housework in your sparkles. I do my face up like this all the time to sit at my desk. But, we're seeing more authenticity. We're seeing more real.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but you're so right. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Nice.
And maybe that's been helpful for people to get, but helpful for people to get back in touch with that less, having to be professional all the time. And of course, professional means you show up on time, that you do, you make sure you do all the right things with the client, and make sure, obviously there's those things. But Julie, people still need to see you.
Yes, I always say that people get professional and serious mixed up. So you don't need to be serious to deliver a professional product. Like, you deliver a message that resonates with people. So there's nothing unprofessional about that.
No. Yes, that's great.
There's a lot of pressure, though, a lot of pressure on people in businesses. And I see it with both men and women, but I feel like it's more men feeling that in the Western business world, they need to be tough and strong and make fast decisions and be extroverted. And, I always just say, be you. If you just be you, but be the best version of you, keep the essence of who you are. And I guess you and I have the luxury of not being in an office. So we're just ourselves. And if you like us, you'll book us. And if you don't, you won't.
Yeah,
in an office, people are constantly trying to fit in.
Sure, and obviously there still has to be, people skills and leadership, and you have to move a little bit with your personality to resonate or to inspire others or to connect with them and have a rapport. So I don't think being authentic means you don't do any of that, but it just does mean that you care a little less constantly about being judged. I think that's that thing again with the relationship with yourself. When you're really comfortable with who you are, you remember that you don't need all of the people all of the time. And I challenge people this in business as well as with what we do, with what I do. When I first started out doing this, I'd give out feedback forms. I'd get 99 positive, 1 negative. What do you think I used to focus on?
Of course,
the 1 negative. It doesn't make any logical business sense for me to change everything I'm doing to suit and win over the 1. No, because I've got 99. Even if it was 60-40, I'm actually still winning. But we don't see it like that. We feel like we have to then do everything we can to get the other 40. Why don't you concentrate on making the 60 happy that you've got and put your energy into them? Because not everybody is going to get you all of the time. And the more exposure you get, the more exposed you will be emotionally. Success means exposure. So if you want to be successful in your workplace, you might get more exposure at the office in your company, or for us, we might get more exposure with people out there generally in the public. But that means not everyone's going to like you or not everyone's going to get you. And yet we then shrink back or we feel so hurt or then no, it's just normal.
So it's letting go of ego really, because, most of us want to be liked and it's a natural thing. But the reality is not everyone is going to like you. You might meet me and I remind you of your mother-in-law and you used to hate her and so therefore you hate me. It could be
absolutely.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
And I'm just too happy for some people. Whatever it is, there's just going to be something. And, and I often talk about that with that bikini post, do you think all of those comments on it were positive? No.
Really?
Messages. I got my share of trolls. But, when that happened, the universe whispered to me 2 things. The universe said, Julie, this is a round of applause. It's gone viral because we're saying your message is on purpose. Fantastic. There's your round of applause. But the universe also said, if you want a bigger stage, Julie, you're going to have to be strong. So it felt like I was lifting a big weight. So are you emotionally strong enough to take it? Because everybody will get you all of the time.
Julie Cross, you have been, you say, am I emotionally strong enough? I still can't, and I'm sure listeners feel the same way. You can't get your head around the way you just go, yep, my husband had a stroke and then got ill and then I lost him and then my kid's got autism. If you're not emotionally strong, I don't know who is. So tell me about living with autism, because that is a whole journey in itself. And I know that you're an ambassador for Carers Foundation as well.
Yeah, so it has been a massive journey, and obviously Thomas is 19 now, so he was 4 when he was diagnosed. So that was really a time where we didn't know, autism. We didn't talk about autism.
No, we didn't talk about it at all.
No, and so you're kind of Googling this autism thing, and all we could really, our reference point, I think, was Rain Man, and that was kind of it back then. Right. And so, you're Googling autism and trying to learn about it. What does it mean for him? And, and you'll notice that I choose to say Thomas, I don't say he's autistic. I say he lives with autism.
Yes.
And that's an important distinction for me because we all live with something. And first and foremost, he's a young man called Thomas. And I live with drinking too much wine on occasion. And I live with a few other things. And some people live with depression or anxiety or, so he lives with autism. But it is a journey, and I'm writing a book at the moment, as you know. It's Living and Loving with Autism, the first 18 years. And it's just a book about the lessons that I've learned along the way, and hopefully other parents who may be in the beginning of it or somewhere in the journey will get hope. I share lots of humour, because without my sense of humour, I would still be curled up on the floor somewhere in a ball and not wanting to get up. but I tell the real stories too, the kicking in the walls, the smashing the windows, the spitting, the swearing, because I want people to know that you're not alone, that this is real. And also for the people who don't have anything to do, which is really interesting with my autism posts, is that most people that engage with them aren't people that have autism in their lives. They're just people that are really interested in learning and knowing and understanding and learning from the way autism sees the world, because they've got lots to teach us. And so the book is kind of a compilation of all of those stories and drawing out the fun, the hope, the lessons, and making people feel less alone, that if you are in it, that you will get through it, because I've moved far enough forward that I could say to you, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay, yeah. I know that one of the things I do know about autism, I know there's a lot of, there's obviously a scale, but I love the way that people who live with autism have no filter in social situations. You must have had a lot of laughs over the years.
Oh gosh.
Can you give me an example? Something that springs to mind.
I just think there's just no filter at home, especially with mummy. And there is that. Like there was once, because they often do this thing called a collier, where they repeat lines from movies. So they don't know what to say. So there might be a line from a song or a line from a movie or something like that. And we were at the movies once, and it was deathly quiet in the cinema because the movie was about to start. And Thomas goes, Mum, why did you have your legs all up in the air like that? Now, I didn't have my legs all up in the air anywhere that he's seen, but there's a song, something about your legs all up in the air, and I'm just like, thank God the lights are off and it's dark.
That's unreal.
And then he went through a stage, and you'll have to excuse my language here a little bit, but we're a little desensitized in our house. But
we're all good.
Yeah, when my husband had a stroke, he was left with one word. And the one word isn't the good word. It was the F word. Fuck. That was the only word he could say. And I even had...
Your husband?
Yeah.
That's funny.
He was left with one word. So he had his stroke, couldn't talk, but he could say one word. And they've done studies on this word about why that is, and where in the brain it sits that people love this word. So, of course, Thomas's first word he learned, well, that's right. So the whole house was just the F word constantly, to the point where I almost got a mat made up for the front door with "You're fucking welcome" on it, just to desensitize everybody when they walked in.
It's perfect. It reminds me of one of my favourite movies. I've been watching all through COVID. I've been watching all the Marvel movies.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I love the Marvel movies.
And Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Groot, all he says is "I am Groot," and he can have a whole conversation going, "I'm Groot, I'm Groot," or "I am Groot," and that just reminds me of you doing the fuck all over the house.
Yeah. Right. No, so he does. He's just given me so many moments. And then, I've even shared this on a corporate stage once. My audience kind of warmed up, where Thomas also went through a stage of calling me a big penis. You're just a big penis, Mum. You're just a big penis, aren't you? You're a big penis. And so I've got to come up with a strategy to deal with this stuff, because once again, otherwise I'd be laying curled up in a ball, Oh, yeah, Mum, you're just a big penis. You're just a big penis. So I think to myself, I wouldn't mind one just quiet.
Listen, so tell me, how do you, like with the smashing the windows, the spitting, being called a penis, what is your strategy? How did you deal? I'm guessing you've Googled thousands and thousands of hours of...
Oh, look, it was, and I went to see lots of... I'd go to therapists. I had this wonderful speech therapist, but she was more than that. She was more a life therapist for autism. And so, as she said when I first went to see her, Julie, I'm seeing you, 1 hour a fortnight. I'm not going to change your world. I'm going to teach you how to handle your world, because I'm not there with you every day. And she was probably the most honest and brutally honest therapist I had sort of ever sat with. And she was wonderful in guiding me to move through this. But then I went to another child psychologist, and I remember thinking, what do you think Thomas is going to sit there and have a chat to you? He doesn't even talk. So Thomas hid under the desk, and of course I had the session. But it was when he was kicking and breaking all the walls, and she sort of talked to me about, well, why does he kick the walls? Or what do you do? And I said, well, I don't know why he started kicking walls, but he gets angry and he kicks the walls in. And smashes everything. And she said, well, what do you do when he does that? And I said, well, obviously I go to him and try to stop him doing it and stop him hurting himself. And she said to me, well, maybe you've just got to let him kick in walls. And I said to her, well, would you let him kick in your walls at your house? She said, I don't have to, Julie. You do. once again, brutally honest. So
Mm.
I remember that day, and when he would start to kick walls, I just would walk outside and go, well, and my house would look like a construction site. But once again, that's that thing, attachment to stuff. Let it go, Julie. What matters is our journey together, how we come through this as people. You can fix the walls later. You know, let us do what we have to do to get through this, and we can fix the walls later. In his window, I ended up putting perspex in his window because I was so sick of the broken window. And I've got to tell you, Lynn, it was a bad mummy moment, but I was looking forward to the day he threw something at it to come straight back and hit me in the head. But you know, Lynn, I can tell you he no longer kicks any walls or breaks any windows. And
bless
you know,
him.
He is such a wonderful, amazing young man who all I ever hear about from the way he moves through the community around him, all I ever get is great feedback about how well-mannered he is, about what a lovely young man he is. You know, he has got his license. If you had said to me all those years ago that this little boy running around,
yes,
you know, headbutting walls, kicking in windows, spitting, not being able to talk, would one day have his license, I would have said to you, I cannot see it. And that's why, as leaders of these people, young people, and as leaders in any organisation, don't you ever stop seeing the possibility and the potential in the people around you.
Oh God, that's so powerful, Julie. You're so right, and you just have to stick at it. And because they're our kids, we just stick at it. And you would just give them absolutely everything. And Thomas Kent is one lucky boy to have you as his mum. It sounds like you've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I guess we should be winding up soon. But I wanted to ask you, when you turned 50, you challenged yourself to do 50 things, I think 50 new things that you've never done. Tell me what the top 5 were.
Oh, well, probably my top 5. Well, it was probably the places I went to would be in my top 5, in that I went to Africa to see the gorillas. I went back to Africa. So I went backpack through Africa when I was about 20, and I never got to do the gorillas back then because it's quite an expensive thing to do and I didn't have the money. So it was my number 1 bucket list thing, was to go back to Rwanda and sit with the gorillas. And so it was just, it was so emotional. I had the most wonderful time. It was the longest time I'd been away from the boys. So it was like, I think that you've got to reward yourself when you've climbed a big mountain. You've got to allow yourself to see the view, and that was my time of seeing the view.
Absolutely.
So I did that, which was wonderful. But in that year also I went, Uluru was also on my list. So I went to Uluru and I spent that time with my girlfriend, who I travelled through America with when we were young. So we got to reconnect and do that again, which was fabulous.
Nice.
I did then, I also went and did the Lady Elliot. So Mother Nature's a big thing for me. So Lady Elliot, where you go, it's beautiful, snorkeling and swam with the turtles and those kinds of things.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was wonderful. And I had the most wonderful 50th party where all I really wanted was to look around the room and see everybody on the dance floor. And we had this wonderful band from my youth again that I got, and they were a bit older too, but they were a Caribbean band. And so they were great at getting everyone on the dance floor. And I remember standing there and turning around and looking at everybody, and everyone was on the dance floor. And I thought, now this is a party. And this year I also took my boys on a cruise. So we did a 4-day cruise together with the boys. So it was a big year. I pulled out all stops, and I had to pull it in a bit for the next couple of years. But I was like, 50, we're going out big.
Absolutely. It sounds like you pack every moment of your life in. So what's next for you, Julie Cross? What's happening?
Well, it'll be the book. You know, through this COVID time, we've obviously it's been a pause for my work.
Yeah, great.
For many, and so getting this next book out is really important to me. There's actually a couple there I've got in me to get out, so I will do that. I love what I do, Lynn, as you know, so I continue to want to, you know, my goal is just to make a difference in somebody's life every day, and whether that be through a one-on-one interaction on a walk in the morning, or whether that be through doing this with you or my speaking, then let me continue to do that. And I want to just leave the world a little bit better than what I found it. And I live a really, I believe, a very balanced life, in that I don't need to do, you know, 8 speaking gigs in a week to feel like I'm successful, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, so I think I'll just continue with that balance. I'm a hiker. I'm going to hike now that we've got this time, I'm going to go and hike Hinchinbrook again, which is a 5
fantastic
3-night hike. So wonderful
Yeah.
lessons in doing that. And so I'll continue to do those things and continue to embrace my beautiful aging, beautiful body. So I'll continue
Yes,
to walk my talk.
absolutely. That's the challenge. You have to walk
Yeah.
your talk. So even when we feel that we're looking in the mirror and going, oh, stop that.
You remember, no. Hello, baby.
Absolutely. Now, listen, as a hairdresser, I wanted to ask you, how does the man in the moon cut his hair? You know why?
Wow.
He clips it.
Honestly, it's a trick question. Good one, yeah. I might use that.
Julie Cross the World is already a better place because you're in it. I love your messages. There's so much that you said today, but 3 things that sort of jumped out at me is that baby picture, and remember ourselves as babies. We were a miracle then, and we are a miracle now. Secondly, you get to be happy when you choose to be happy. So there's a lot of reframing and self-talk that goes on there. And as parents and as leaders, never, ever, ever give up on the potential of those people around us. Thank you so much. You're a beautiful soul, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
In your life. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you to all your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Oops, that was me. Cut us off too quickly. Now, anything to do with Julie Cross, please visit juliecross.com.au and be sure that you like and follow Julie on Facebook, because you'll get daily inspirational stories. And I think on Fridays you even get dancing. Go ahead, enjoy. And thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Now, if you like what you've heard, you may like my program, Working with People You Just Don't Get. So in this, we determine what your behavioural preference is for: apple, mango, lime, or banana. Once we do that, we look at the strengths and challenges of each and how we can work more effectively together. Because when we do, we have less stress, we have greater productivity, and we get better results all round. Now, the program comes in many forms. You can choose a webinar. You may like a video with a live Zoom Q&A after it. If you're all back in the workplace together, there's a lovely video training series that you can run yourself. Perhaps you'd like to book me post-COVID for a face-to-face workshop or a conference gig, or maybe just take a look at the book, Bite Me and Other Do's and Don'ts of Dealing with Our Differences. Now, all this and more can be found on my website, lynscanella.com.au, and you can also do a taster of the quiz there to get a feel for what you are. Now, if you've liked what you've heard, please like us, subscribe, leave a review. That would be awesome. I am on Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn, so please join me there so we can stay as connected as possible in this weird and wonderful world in which we live. Respect, connect, thrive. I'm Lynn Scanella, and this has been Fruitful Conversations.